Hello. This is Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Easter Sunday. I'm so excited today. We have Jane Courier, a licensed therapist. She's here today to talk to us about parenting. And, you know, we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, and we are welcoming your comments, suggestions, any questions that you have. And without wasting time, I know it's Easter, people are waiting for dinner. I'm going to let Jane introduce herself.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Jane. I am a licensed therapist. I am also a parent empowerment coach. I, I'm into mental health stuff. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what makes me excited to wake up each day to go and make a difference, change lives. Yeah, that's what I do.
Good, 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 good. Jane, if I may ask, why did you choose that career path?
Oh, that's a good question. I get that question quite a bit. I chose this career because part of it, it's my upbringing. I would say that as I got older, I noticed a lot of challenges in relationships, and the biggest one was my own, observing my own parents, observing my extended family, observing even sometimes school teachers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, our neighbors, all different kind of relationship that kind of struck me. And the reason I chose this career is I felt like there was some pain, a lot of pain in those relationships. And I kept asking myself, is there something better, different? Can
Mm-hmm.
people be able to get along and thrive and have healthy relationships? And why do I see a lot of sadness, a lot of punishment, a lot of pain all around? You know how we were punished in school when you don't perform, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're scared. I was scared of going to school sometimes. Sometimes I would be sometimes scared of going home because I thought I'm gonna get in trouble. And it's like, a lot of tension, a lot of pain.
yeah,
What does it take to live life? Even with all those pains, you don't have to feel so fearful coming to a place where you call home.
okay.
How can we live in a way that we feel joy despite the challenges that we go through? So that's what drove me into this career.
Okay, okay. And I know you cover several areas: marriage, parenting, and which other area do you cover?
I mean, mental health is very broad. I specifically throughout my careers, I have worked with youth.
Okay.
I have worked with parents. I have worked with adults and, various mental health issues, people with depression, anxiety, parenting challenges, bipolar, um, people struggling to set boundaries with family,
Yeah.
like all kinds of different issues that any adult can go through or any youth or child can go through.
Okay.
Yeah. So from usually I've worked with age group of probably from 13 years of age to uh 70s, 80s.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, which of that category do you consider your most challenging?
Most challenging. I don't think I would look at it from the most challenging. I think I look at it from the challenges they bring. Which
Okay.
ones do I feel most comfortable working with, or who are my clients? Because mostly our work is people come with challenges and they're looking for help, right? They're looking
Yes.
to deal with those challenges. So
Hmm.
usually what I find, um well, okay, let me say what is challenging. Working with kids is not an area that I would say I am very strong in, because with
Okay.
kids you do a lot of play therapy, teaching, because they may not be nonverbal, they may not know understand some words, so you might
Okay.
need to use play or sand or toys to communicate with kids. So I
Yes.
work mostly with now people who we can have a conversation and understand what we're actually telling each other. So the parents and the youth have been my, you know population that I find so much joy to work with.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I know today we within all these categories we decided to choose parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we'll have other sessions to talk about other different things.
Mm-hmm.
And just to start off, in terms of conception, pregnancy, do you think that if a mother goes through a traumatic pregnancy, does that affect a child in any way?
um when they go through traumatic experience, is it in delivering the baby or during pregnancy? Or maybe you can clarify a little bit so I get your question.
Okay, sure. I was thinking about, let's say, pregnancy. Some people find out they're pregnant and then, they get rejected. So, right from pregnancy itself.
Mm. Oh yeah, oh definitely. Like, if you became pregnant, and first of all, maybe it was a pregnancy that you probably had not planned, right?
Yeah,
um and maybe you had planned it, but then the person who maybe you made this baby with is denying that they're part of it. So there's so many factors that can come into play, and of course they affect even the development of that baby, from even when they're in the tummy before they're born. Because if
okay.
a mom is going through stress, if they're going through a lot of challenges while they are pregnant, the boy the it when we're pregnant, we're still communicating with our baby, right? So
Yeah,
whatever challenges we are having, the baby will also be experiencing those challenges. So yes, it does affect the baby.
okay.
Yeah.
And what about, you know, after having the baby, there's this postpartum. Is there a way that a mother can detect, okay, I must be going through postpartum depression? Are there signs that are so obvious for someone to be able to detect that?
Yeah. Sometimes someone might just think, oh, it's because I had a baby. Maybe this is something that won't go away. Or but sometimes one of the biggest challenges, especially when a new baby comes in, is reminding women that you've gone through a very big transition. This
Yes,
is huge. Change. Your body has carried a pregnancy for 9 months. Now you've delivered the baby. And then, of course, your body has shifted health wise, right?
yes,
The
yes.
delivery, it was already impact your health. And now you have another soul, right? Next
Yeah.
to you, who actually also needs your attention, right?
Okay.
So it's one of the effects that postpartum depression may have on a mother is they may be emotionally unavailable for their baby.
Yes.
They struggle to soothe the baby when they're crying. They may struggle to be, emotionally available for that baby. So
Yeah.
maybe they're just tired. They're just feeling like it's annoying. I just can't take this crying anymore. That
Hmm.
is concerning. So that shows that they need to pay attention to that.
Okay.
And another thing is maybe inconsistency in caregiving, where they may breastfeed today, or in an hour ago they breastfeed, and then the baby is crying and they still need to be breastfed. It's like they don't want to do anything with that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of inconsistency on how they are showing up for the baby, because
Hmm.
they're struggling emotionally.
Yeah.
They also struggle with withdrawing from people. They may not want to be around people. They may not even want to be around the baby. So
Yeah.
that can be concerning. They may be struggling with postpartum depression. So it's good to seek help from their doctor and express what they're feeling, or if they have some support at home, then they can express how they're feeling. Someone may be able to guide them to seek help. Sometimes they may get very angry and frustrated very quickly,
Yes.
which can also be very concerning because um, it just means that they're not able to regulate their emotions.
Yeah.
But I also get it, when you have a new baby and your body has shifted so much and changed,
Mhm.
sometimes it makes sense that they won't struggle with that. But it's always good to remember there is help. There's help,
Okay.
they can
Mhm.
help. Yeah.
Okay. And I know we're moving from one thing to another.
Mhm.
So let's talk about, maybe so those people who give birth and then there's that rejection and then they end up as single parents.
Mhm.
What are the challenges of being a single parent?
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot of challenges, to be honest. Being a single parent, you have to be, of course, the sole financial provider for your children.
Yeah.
And you also have to navigate figuring out your children care while you're also working.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the decision maker for your
Yes.
children and for yourself, right? You may have of course, with parenting in general, whether you're single or in a parent relationship, it comes with its own challenges. So as a single person raising a kid, it also comes with the fact that you're alone.
Yes.
It can feel lonely. It can feel like too overwhelming to even carry that burden alone. Sometimes people are there's some stigma around it. People,
Yeah.
they might be blamed or feel like you're a failure. You should have been able to keep your relationship, so there has to be something wrong with you. So there
Yeah.
has to be that's judgment from the society when it comes to raising your child by yourself. um, there are other challenges, of course, with being able to be the only person working at the same time you're supporting your children.
Yeah.
You can struggle with some mental health challenges because it's a lot.
That's true. Yeah.
And when you're straining financially while at the same time you're facing all the societal stigma, you're facing balancing your time with work and yourself and your own self-care, it can be a lot. So raising a child alone as a parent, it's hard. It's definitely is hard. But the good news is sometimes it helps to connect with some to find a community for yourself,
Yes.
whether it's family,
Mhm.
whether it's friends, whether it's church, whether it's people who can be able to be that support system, other single moms,
Yes.
forming
Yes.
that community of people who get each other and be able to support your children, and knowing that we are resilient beings. You
Hmm.
navigate. We have successful stories of people who have done it. We can do it too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we bring them up, and then they get to this adolescent stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you how can parents be prepared in order to support the children during that stage?
Adolescence, according to this this the stage of development when it's
Yes.
an adult. I think there's this psychologist called Erickson. This looking through Erickson's stages of development. When a child becomes an adolescent, they are
Hmm.
in the autonomy versus raw confusion stage.
Hmm.
This is when they're not an adult yet, and they're
Yes.
not a little kid anymore. So they're in that transition stage of development where they are trying to know who they are. They are trying to be independent, but at the same time they still need their parents. But
Yes.
so the kind of shift that's happening, their body is also changing because they are getting into puberty, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe girls start having menstruation, and boys, their voices start to break. They start, growing hair in pubic places. So it's important that we we understand the shift that's happening
Yes.
for them to develop the autonomy that they need as these kids in their puberty or in adolescent stage. For them to develop the autonomy, the shifting of parenting has to shift to the stage where they're in. This is where they're gonna be asking questions, they're gonna be
Yes.
setting boundaries, they will be able to express their opinion on things. It's not
Yes.
like before, it's like, let's go to the park, and the kid just gets up and you go to the
Yes.
park. But now it's like, no, I'm not going to the park, I'm going to be going out with my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the transit, the shift is happening. But now sometimes the struggle that I find with parents is we kind of get stuck into raising them the same way we were raising them when they were younger. So
Yeah.
we're not moving with the shift that's also happening with the stage of development. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to develop their autonomy, there has to be that kind of shift on how we raise them. We also recognize that they're going through a lot of hormonal changes in their bodies and
True.
all that. So
Yeah.
their mood might shift without notice. And we also have to learn to regulate ourselves as parents so that we are not reacting to every change that they are going through and we take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And we give ourselves grace. We also give them that grace, because if we don't navigate this phase very well, that's when they now become confused kids, right? That's why
Yes. Yes.
autonomy versus raw confusion. So they get confused because they're trying to learn how to assert themselves, but then it's like the barrier is so strong that they're not able to navigate that way of expressing themselves, because sometimes they don't know how to express themselves in the right way, so they need a lot of guidance.
Yes.
Now it's like, who are you talking to like this, right?
The shift.
Who are you
Big
talking to like
shift.
this?
Big shift. Yes.
Yeah, so there has to be a shift, and of course a lot of giving ourselves grace and compassion, honestly, because
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for the parent, it's also hard for the kid. But in the end, I always say, as parents, we still are the adults.
Yes.
We are still the ones that are offering guidance,
Mm-hmm.
so empowering ourselves. And that's why I'm so big on this thing of empowering ourselves as parents, because we are the adults.
Yes.
Our, brain development, now new studies are showing our brain does not, it continues to develop until like even 29 years of age. So
Yeah.
the brain is very young for these kids, so it needs to be, they need a lot of support and direction from the adults. That's why for us, we need to empower ourselves, so we are navigating this phase with them, with the tools and the skills that we need to guide them through that phase where they're trying to know who they are,
Yeah.
and they're also confused, and they're trying to get some clarity of what that looks like for them.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Very, very good
yeah,
information there. Huh. Okay. Moving along. Moving along. So,
yeah.
what about culture? I know, like our culture, we couldn't just. You can't just be crying. Maybe you're facing something out here, and you
Mhm.
go home crying. If it's a boy, they were told stop crying like a girl, and girls were told, stop crying, or I give you a reason to cry about. How does culture really affect parenting, and especially for us immigrants who are different countries? How does it come into play, and how does that really affect our children?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. Um, Based on my experience, honestly, working with people from all walks of life, because I've worked with white, Asian, um, African American, us from Kenya, like Hispanic. We what I have come to learn
Yeah.
based on this experience is that, to be honest, so many cultures, so many homes, so many countries in the world, there was no language for emotions.
Mm.
It doesn't matter which part of the world you come from.
Yeah.
Emotions were, people were shamed, people were silenced, for whether it's a boy or girl. In the end, none, not the boy, not the girl, because the boys, they used girls to shame them, like,
Exactly.
it's like, you're not a girl, stop crying, right? So the boy stops because they're not a girl, and then the girl was told, now you're crying. Well, the crying is kind of normalized, like, we are giving you permission to cry, but wait a minute, before you continue crying, I'm gonna shame you and tell you to shut up, right?
Mm.
I want
Yeah.
you to stop crying, or else I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
In the end, none of them is actually being given permission to actually express themselves
Mm-hmm.
in a
Mm-hmm.
safe way. So we need to always recognize that it's something that was in almost all cultures where this language was very foreign. So what that does, the way it impacts all of us, is that humans must feel. Feelings
Yes.
are super important, and there's no shame around it at all.
Yeah.
So in what I would say is that um, we may label it as a cultural thing that we should cry, but
Yeah.
I don't really think necessarily it was culture. It's lack of knowledge. It's also sometimes some of the messages that was passed down from other generations, because people had to be strong, they had to be this. So in the end, it's understanding that whether it's culture or not, there is no shame around having to feel your feelings, whether you're
Oh,
a boy or a girl.
yeah. I don't know. I guess that makes me feel a little bit better because if all the cultures have that in common,
Yeah,
you know,
they do.
that makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah,
because I really thought that that aspect was just from us. Especially we talk when I meet people from Kenya, where we come from, we talk about the same thing. Like the parenting was, we felt like it was so harsh, like nobody cared about your feeling, like there was too much punishment, and there was no freedom of expressing ourselves. So if it's common with other cultures, okay.
yeah, it is, and the cycle that we need to continue to break, and this is where now we cannot teach what we don't know,
Yes.
right? We
Yes.
If we never learned how to safely express our emotions as children, we are also gonna have a very hard time helping our children do the same.
True.
And this is where we always have to remember it, reparenting ourselves, giving ourselves as parents the things that we did not get. Now giving myself permission to feel, not just feel, know what these feelings are, and
Yeah.
also know how to express them in a healthy way, right? Because you
Yes.
find that a lot of parents, there's a lot of range, the mom range, the dad range,
Yeah.
people, because people, there's a lot of shame around these feelings. People become very aggressive. They show anger in a way that is scary because they think it's wrong to feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then
That's
when a kid cries, because for me, which is something I share quite a bit, because I also want people, I want to normalize these things. These
yeah.
struggles are very relatable to a lot of parents. Because for me, I struggled with, like, if I would see my kid cry, I would be like, oh, shut up, shut up, shut up. Like, I'm scared of those feelings. To see them, it's like, what do I do with them? You need to stop.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also didn't have that safe space for mine, right? So I
Uh-huh.
have to also remember it's okay. Jane, it's okay. Let them cry. It's okay. You don't have to fix it. It's okay. It's a form of expression and it's very okay. So we have to reparent ourselves as we parent. So we are doing two things at the same time,
Oh my
giving
God.
ourselves what we do not get while also giving our children the same gift.
True. Wow. That's powerful. That's parenting ourselves first. And like for me, I feel like, and I don't think this is even different to someone who is more mature.
Mm,
I had my kids when I was so young myself. So
mm,
I was, still a child, raising children.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't even think that even the people who are older
Mhm.
would be able to parent any differently. Do you
Yeah.
think the age would really affect that?
No, age has nothing to do with nothing. At the end of the day, is because we do have people in their 80s who are
Yes.
still full of range and they're just dangerous to be around because they are
Uh-huh.
so unstable emotionally. What I do know is that what makes the difference is not just the passage of time, it's
Hmm.
how well or how intentional we are in actually doing the work,
True.
in understanding that what is actually what does conscious or intentional parenting look like.
That's right.
How are we allowing our children to be to emotionally express themselves to us
Yeah.
without silencing them, without how are we setting boundaries in our homes in a way that we are not shaming, we are not just it's my way or the highway, it's not like aggressive communication, it's we are how are we doing it in a
Hmm.
way that helps our children to recognize, yes, our authority as their parents, but at the same time, we are still also helping them to develop their own autonomy
Yeah.
by they're not just following our directions because they're so scared that if they don't, something horrible will happen and they might not eat, they might be kicked out of, because that's based on fear.
Yes.
We are raising them to develop the autonomy that they can come to me and say, Mom, I did not appreciate the way you talked to me the other day. And I'll
Yes.
be like, wow, thanks for letting me know. Tell me
Mhm.
more, maybe I may have missed it. And then I'm receptive to their input or to their correction even, because
Yes.
my mindset is no longer the our parents' mindset where it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I am the person in authority and it's all about power. If you correct me, then I'm not a good parent. I still
Hmm.
know that yes, they can correct me if I'm wrong. I can apologize to them when I make a mistake. And a lot of parents can attest that. I don't think many ever experienced that from their own parents, like a parent apologizing, even, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Recognizing what conscious parenting is, because many of us parents who are not doing the work yet, or we are still stuck in our trauma from child,
Hmm.
we are raising from a place of a wounded parent, from a parent who carries a lot of trauma from their childhood and then just passing it down without even realizing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Very, very wow, powerful. I hope our parents, as parents, we can humble ourselves, to that level to be able to apologize and listen. Yeah, because I know even in my house we have still used no because I said so. No questions.
Me too.
Just
Yeah.
just do that. And they're like, but why?
Yeah.
Because I said so. I just don't want to explain anything. I just want to leave it at that.
I know.
and and you really, it doesn't help. It doesn't help, I guess, when you explain and they're sincere. They just want to know why do you think like that. I guess it makes it like a smoother parenting when we do that.
It makes it a smoother parenting, like you said, which is so true. But the problem is because we are also carrying our own wounding or our own traumas.
Yeah.
You remember usually it was like nyamaza, like the
Yes.
nyamaza. So we didn't learn to be assertive ourselves or even to explain ourselves, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even explaining to our own children when they ask such a question, like, but why? Like they want an answer, but we are
Yes.
also, we are the little us who was silenced, does not have even know how to explain it. So it's so much easier to say because I said so.
Exactly.
I don't know. And this is what reparenting is about. It's recognizing, wow, okay, take a deep breath. My kid is asking me a question.
Hmm.
I need to pause and think, okay, what was the motive of me telling my kid to do this? What was the reasoning that I had in my head so that I can verbalize it?
Yes.
That my kid, because that verbalizing and explaining, it's also teaching the kid actually how to use the words to express themselves.
True. True.
But many of us didn't know how to. We had to learn that in adulthood, and we're still learning.
Still
So
learning.
it's a journey. I think it's just continuing to give ourselves compassion, because this journey is one step at a time. It's a lot of unlearning that we're going to do. And
True.
also remembering that we may make two steps forward and maybe one back. We're
Hmm.
still moving forward.
As long as we're moving, as long as we're getting better.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. Um, One of the things that I really, really struggled with, I know most of these questions could be just from myself, was like when my kids were younger, it would be like they do a chore and they say, oh, give me something, give me. It's like they want you to pay them. They want to and I know this is something that is very common in especially in America, because when I talked to my neighbor, she was talking about how their children, they do chores and they get some allowance every time they do something. And I really struggled because for me, I grew up knowing that doing this is just my job,
Mm, mm.
it's just normal. How do you feel about that? Do you think we should be rewarding our kids?
That's a good question. I think it depends with how each family thinks about it and how they take it.
Mm.
What I do know is that having a discussion or an open conversation about that with the kids, it's very important, because if there are certain things, for example, maybe they're expected to do with, which is part of enhancing their own living in your home, let's say like doing their bed, making their bed,
Yeah.
um cleaning their bedroom, right?
Hmm.
um picking up after themselves, right? So there are certain tasks within the home that are meant to enhance their own life.
Hmm.
And then there
Yeah.
are those tasks that, let's say, they are meant to um, help out in ways that is also going to enhance maybe the family as a whole,
Yeah.
or it's also a chore or a task that's going to enhance maybe parents' life, whether it's
Mm.
maybe washing their car or whatever that is, helping them
Yeah.
in other things that is adult stuff. So I think being able to have these conversations where, okay, when it comes to these kind of chores, this is expected to be done,
Yeah.
maybe without a reward.
Hmm.
And or let's say if you're able to consistently keep your room clean as a form of motivation
True.
for the next 2 weeks without me having to keep on pushing you to do it, then there will be this. So in a way, it's like a motivating thing to help with them to make sure that they're consistent with what they're supposed to do. But in the end, I think it's all about a family deciding what that looks like for them and what values they want to instill. Because I
Yeah.
do know sometimes rewarding or giving them those little allowances, it may also be a chance to teach them how to save, how to be responsible with their money, how to reward themselves for something good that they have done,
Yeah.
and pay themselves and have some fun. Or if you have something that you really need, you want to save up so you can get it, delay gratification, and
Mm.
whatever that is, at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's right or wrong. I think
Yeah.
it's the family deciding um what the goal is for doing it and what they want to accomplish in the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well explained. Because I remember any okay, like this is something I had to change. And when I
Mhm.
would reward, especially as you said, for like, keeping your room clean, that was something that you just saw a change. Now, you go, you find, okay, the room is clean, because I guess they're looking forward to that reward. So yeah, I think each family should just really decide on which way to go and the benefits really of doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Another question I had was raising kids in a foreign country, the contradicting of culture, the
Hmm.
kids trying to fit in.
Hmm.
What's your take on that?
I think we, as parents, I think it's being very mindful of. I had someone else say something which I thought was powerful. Like, we cannot continue to raise our children the Kenyan way, like fully, like the way we were raised,
Yeah.
and then expect them to go out there in the world where it is not Kenya, it is
Oh.
America. So, and they're going to meet, the culture is very different, right? And I'll give
Mm.
an example because as a parent who is raising, three black boys in America, and we know there are also those other challenges that come with being black in America, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes, and something as basic as hair, hair,
Right.
we grew up with the way we were socialized when it comes to hair is girls were supposed to grow their hair, boys are supposed to cut their hair.
Yeah.
And there's certain parents were very rigid that they, here in America, you know, they cannot grow their hair, they cannot braid their hair, they can't this. But at the end of the day, it's still asking ourselves as parents, why are we holding so firmly to certain values,
Mm-hmm.
to certain cultural practices? How are they even what informed these beliefs to begin with? Because I know I did a presentation some time ago, even on parenting and the differences in our culture and the culture here when it comes
Yeah.
to even
Mm-hmm.
clothes, the way girls are dressing, boys are dressing, the hair, the makeup, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And and because for me, our boys, I'm the one who even do their hair, and it's a whole different world for me. Like I had to pause and ask, oh God of mercy, hold on,
Yeah.
then I had to call myself a meeting. I called myself a meeting and I said, wait, I was raised in a culture where I was told growing your hair as a boy means either you're a thug or this, and there were certain labels that these people were given. But then I was like, who is a thug?
Mm.
Who is a thug?
Yeah.
Does hair make you a thug?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we just have to ask ourselves, this is what I was told. I'm gonna sit with that cultural belief and that label.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm mutilated. I'm gonna just cut it into smaller pieces and just get to understand it, like who is a thug. So I had to sit with it, ask myself questions. Why do I have this resistance so strong about this? What messages or what story am I making in my head about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
whatever that looks like for each parent, because each parent will teach their kids their own values, but at the same time recognize, because I know at some point our son shared a bit about the reasoning why he wanted long hair, because some boys were making fun, oh gosh, your head is so clean, and because everyone else went long hair. So you can imagine if I decide that it's not going to happen in my home because I'm protecting the thug mentality.
Mm. Yeah.
This kid is feeling self-conscious and lonely about this, and then I'm blocking that. How is that
Mm.
also impact their mental health.
Yeah.
So am
Yeah.
I protecting what I was told by my culture that this is what this is when it's actually not? Or am I gonna now be open to hearing, tell me more. Why is this important to you?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
No, not in my house. But tell me more. Why is this important to you? Right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think it at the end of the day, we just have to keep on calling ourselves a meeting and also ask ourselves, this is what I was told.
Mm. Yeah.
Is it accurate? Is
True.
it true?
True. True. Yeah. Yeah.
Does wearing a short dress make me a prostitute?
Mm.
So we have to look at these things that were based on patriarchy sometimes and trying to define who a woman or a man or a, so we just have to keep on calling ourselves a meeting to challenge
Mm.
some of these conditionings that we were exposed to and we are trying to pass down to our children.
Mm.
We make the discernment, which one do we keep, which one do we challenge, and which, and what is it about this, staying curious, what is it about this belief that makes me hold it so strongly that I have
Yeah.
no room to have a conversation with my child about it? What am I
Mm.
doing on my end?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that one. That one I can relate because even us having the hair transition really took a toll. It took a toll, and we had to get to a place of really accepting it and really getting where they're coming from. But it was really hard because of really all that belief that we had in our head of what we thought, okay, long hair or dreadlocks, or you know yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was
and
that was
and
a hard one.
it was a hand, and then sometimes it's like, wait, they're performing okay.
Yeah.
These kids, they're not into, let's say, even these drugs, or like they have good friends, they're kind, they're respect. Like, what the heck am I protecting?
Yes, yes, yes.
What people will think of me, right? Because
Mm,
usually it's like, huh, I would be judged. So I'm protecting my image
true.
while at the same time shutting my kid because I
Yes,
want to protect how people view me.
yes,
Is
yes,
it fair
yes.
to the kid? Is it fair that it's about me and my image of what people will think of me?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
about the wellness of my whole family, my children, you know?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of unlearning that we have to continue to do and come to a space of healing for ourselves as parents so that we are not making certain decisions because of trying to protect our image to the world.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess as we get older, like for me, my kids are now older.
Hmm.
You look at the importance of just having a child that is, you know, normal, doing things that are not so crazy. Because if you try to, nitpick on everything, you'll go crazy. And also, I think our culture, we need to be so gentle with each other, because really you can see my child with hair like that and really wonder what's wrong with this parent. Why aren't they, talking to their kids? A lot of judgment also out there can really, bring a lot of negativity to the family. But knowing how to really separate yourself, and knowing what is important, I guess is something that we have to really work on. Yeah,
Yeah.
because hair in my house was a battle. It was huge. It was huge. But yeah, before we go to a point of knowing this battle, there's no point because you go to school, there are students, the teachers are bragging of how great your kids are, and you're here stressing about hair. I'm like, yeah, that had to, you shut off and you decide, we can live with that. There are the bigger things than that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were not the only household that struggled with that.
La la
Really,
la la.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Another thing that really I know now culture is trying to embrace it is about counseling. Our children, can you, let me say, our child, your child has come home, they feel a certain way.
Mhm.
Would you recommend counseling to your child? Would you send them for counseling? Would you be open to that?
I always tell people, and this is part of doing my best to normalize counseling or mental health services.
Yeah.
I am a therapist who is in therapy.
Mm.
It's super important that if we don't believe it in ourselves, we are not likely going to recommend it for our children.
True.
So we must first embrace it because, and I like using this analogy, and I hope it's helpful. We don't, when we fracture bones, or we are having pneumonia or malaria or fever, whatever, I don't think I would care, someone would care to say I have a cold, or I just came from the doctor because
Mm.
I've been having a fever or something. Like, that is very normal to say. But then
Mm.
it comes to, I've been feeling kind of depressed lately. I'm just
Mm.
struggling with a lot of anxiety. I'm not sure what's going on. That is not something that people will say very easily, because
No. Mm-mm.
again, it comes back to a lot of stigma around it.
Yes.
So it's much easier to talk about physical health than the mental health. But
Mm.
what people need to always remember is that my hands, my legs, my eyes are part of my body. My brain, it's also part of my body. So when I'm struggling because of certain stressors in my life, maybe I'm going through financial hardship, maybe I am having very toxic family members who are
Mm-hmm.
constantly getting in my nerves, and maybe they are too demanding. You're here in America working so hard, and you feel like you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
So being able to say, "Ooh, it's not my eye, it's not my leg, my brain. I
Mm.
need help."
Yeah.
Like, my brain needs some support to navigate all these things that I'm going through. So look at it from, it's also your organ of your body that needs
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
support. The same way when you can't see very well, you're going to go to your eye doctor, right? So we need to normalize that our brain, just like the car engine, it needs to be really well maintained.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to do oil change. And it's a thing. It's not even a breathing thing, right? It's not alive. We still have to maintain the thing. How
Mm.
about this brain that cannot be replaced?
True.
We can't replace it. Once it's done, it's done. The engine knocks, you can go buy another engine.
True.
Yeah, but we still have to be careful that we do what we need to do to make sure it keeps running. And because the car is taking us places, our body is going to be the one that's going to do things for us. And if the brain, which is the engine of a lot of things that we do, we think we can think straight, we cannot sleep well, we are feeling super emotional and we are crying, we are not able to be present for kids because we are super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Don't we need to maintain that which
Yeah.
we cannot replace,
True.
right?
Very
So
profound.
if we are struggling, it's okay. It's okay to say I am not okay, because that brain, it needs oiling, it needs maintenance, it needs all the things that it needs to be able to run smoothly.
Yeah.
When those moments come, be okay
Mm.
asking for help. There's no shame around it. I'm a therapist who has been in therapy for quite some time, a lot
Yes.
of childhood trauma.
Mm.
I wanna be okay. It's just
Yes.
like I
Yes.
always tell people, a surgeon who is even who does a great job doing surgeries and stuff, they're not gonna give themselves anesthesia and operate on themselves. Somebody
True.
else will do it,
That's right.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
we just have to embrace that it's okay not to be okay. be okay. It's okay to ask for help. Jesus, I wish I would sing to the rooftops like, let's go, guys, let's get help. We need it.
Yes.
Woohoo. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's right. That's very true. Oh, wow. I can't believe it's been almost 1 hour already. Wow, time is flying by.
Yeah,
So,
indeed.
Jane, I know there are people out there who would like to get your services. Please let them know where to find you so that as we complete this, any questions, people, if you have any questions, anybody who is watching or who will watch this later, if you have any questions, just send them and I'm going to direct to Jen and maybe we can have another session just to answer the questions. But as we finalize, just let people know where they can, get to find you or get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I
You're
really, really
welcome.
enjoyed this conversation. You can
Mhm.
reach me via my email, which is jane@janecouriercoaching.com. My Facebook page is Jane Courier Coaching or just Jane Courier. You can reach to me via phone call, which is 408-627-3364. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to support you in whatever way you would want support with. And if I cannot, I'll refer you to someone who could help.
That's really nice. I really, really enjoyed our conversation, Jane. And hopefully, I'll let you know all those questions. I'll send them your way, and hopefully, we can get another session together.
Yes, thank you so much, Dorcas, for having me.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye.